Kids, this is a 5th and 6th grade review video on similar shapes, similar triangles, etc. So I have that up there. I grabbed some grammar symbols to bring home to help teach you guys. I neglected to bring home stuff from the Montessori cabinet as I found as I was reviewing for this lesson. So we're going to have to do the best we can. So similar shapes, 5th and 6th graders. I'm using Charmander as my guide. Yep, there he is. Hey, buddy. Okay, so thank you all for tuning in. So I want to talk today briefly about congruence and similarity. And if you see here, I have the word similar and the word congruent, and I have the smaller pieces of paper here. Well, what does this mean? And these are the symbols that go with it. Well, let's review what they mean. So congruence is two geometric figures of the same size and shape, and similarity is two geometric figures having the same shape but not necessarily the same size. So what does that mean? Well, these two circles, okay, obviously you know where I got these. These are congruent because they are the same size and shape. But the funny thing is I chose circles, and circles are both similar and congruent because all circles are the same shape, even though they might be this different size. So these ones are similar and congruent. These ones are all similar. They are different sizes, but they are all circles. So we get these triangles out that I was using. So these triangles, these Gramble triangles, are obviously two equilateral triangles, and they are similar. I don't even have enough space for them. These are similar triangles. And all equilateral triangles are similar because all equilateral triangles have the 60, 60, 60 interior angles all adding up to 180 because every equilateral triangle, the angle measures on each side are 60, 60, and 60. So those are similar shapes. Now we get to the fun part, which is talking about, let's make some right triangles together. And I want to go back to what we talked about with the Pythagorean triples. So right triangles made using multiples of a Pythagorean triple are similar. And if you guys see, I've got a 3, 4, 5 triangle, a 6, 8, 10 triangle, and a 9, 12, 15 triangle. These are all multiples of the 3, 4, 5 triangle. So what I want to do is start making some similar and congruent triangles together. And there's going to be a lot of drawing and cutting during this presentation. I'm going to go ahead and do centimeters. So I'm going to do a 3, 4, 5, and you're going to have to do the best you can with your right angle. Okay. So I started, sorry. Oh, that is not clear at all. I better go over that with something. Let's color this triangle in. So this is kind of like the Pythagorean triples, except for I'm just reinforcing the nomenclature of similar and congruent. So I just made a 3, 4, 5 triangle, and I'm going to make another 3, 4, 5 triangle. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and use this colored pencil. It's going to show up better. Another 3, 4, 5 triangle, all centimeters. And this is where I'm really missing the Montessori geometry cabinet. I really need some of those shapes and everything in there. But necessity is the mother of invention, and we will go on. So what I'm doing right now is I'm cutting out some triangles. I just made a 3, 4, 5 and another 3, 4, 5 triangle, and these are congruent because they are the same size and the same shape. Okay, but now I'm going to make a variant of that for my ruler now. Here it is. I'm going to go ahead and do the 6, 8, 10. Just going to use my old piece of paper here. No need to waste paper. I love how this always works out perfectly. This is always like magic for me when I do this. It's always magic. It's like, hey, it worked. And parents at home, if you're finding your kids need a lot of paper and a lot of rulers and colored pencils to draw, do the very best you can. Okay, and this one I'm going to also color in. Notice I'm not focusing on the side lengths. I know what they are. I can always measure them. I'm focusing on what's similar and what is congruent. You see I'm working here on some triangles. So 5th and 6th graders ultimately, after we do some right triangle examples here, which I've got, we can start trying to do other examples too. And you can just have a whole collection of similar and congruent shapes, and we can really review and hammer down what it means to be similar and congruent. That's one thing that Montessori lessons are really good at, is teaching you the words that go with things. Very important, congruent, similar. I know I did a fraction thing with Legos. That is all about numerator, denominator. So, working on almost done cutting out my 6, 8, 10 centimeter triangles. Put that over here for now. So, what I've got now is another, not very well colored in, but triangles, and these are congruent to each other, but they are, these ones here are similar. So if I have these ones here under similar, then we know that those are similar, but I would have to put all of them over here. Those two are congruent. These two are congruent. Okay, so there's just an example of something you can do with triangles. Let's go to different shapes, and let's go even bigger. Actually, I'll leave this out. And I apologize that they're not as easy to see. Let's go. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go one more size up on my triangles because I feel like we need it. We're going to roll with a 9, 12, 15 on my Pythagorean triple in centimeters. 9, 12, 15. And the act of drawing these and just seeing how it works out every time with that hypotenuse, which is the one right across that right angle, just makes my day every time. Just love it. I did have a good high school experience in geometry. I really enjoyed my high school geometry. I forget the name of my teacher, but she was wonderful. So thank you. Yeah, there we have it. I'm going to color these in. Ooh, I got the black. This is going to be dark enough. So 5th and 6th graders, most of this is review. You guys know this already, but we need to reinforce all the skills that we have. When I was talking to Miss Carroll about what we needed to do, similar shapes came up a few times when I was talking about the 5th and 6th graders. So that's why I have chosen to do this. And I really want you to know the difference between congruence and similarity. I will have to find a way to get some of the geometry cabinet materials home. Although that thing is really heavy. I don't know how many of you kids have ever tried to lift that thing, but it's actually pretty heavy. It's deceptively heavy. So this is my 9, 12, 15. Almost there. Bear with me. And look at that. So I have a 9, 12, 15, which is also similar to those, but only congruent to another 9, 12, 15 triangle. So one thing I should do, now that I'm looking at my video quality, so I should really try to go over the edges, but upon further reflection, I think that I will fix that in a future presentation. Alright, so these ones are congruent because congruence, two geometric figures of the same size and shape, and these ones are similar, two geometric figures having the same shape but not necessarily the same size. So again, I can make these. These are all similar triangles. So my challenge, and I'll talk about our follow-up activity, my challenge is really, what can we do, what other shapes can we make? And we can do simple shapes like squares. So I can do a square that is 4 centimeters by 4 centimeters. And then I can make another square that is 8 centimeters by 8 centimeters. What's this interesting thing that I'm thinking about squares? Is every square going to be congruent, or is every square going to be similar? Let's think about that. Because what is the definition of a square? So these two squares that I just drew, I'm about to show you, are they similar? Are they congruent? And the question is every square similar? Think about that. So we can do this with squares, we can do this with pentagons, we can do this with hexagons. I would love to do a presentation at some point in the future on how to make pentagons and other shapes with you in some really fun ways. But for right now, we're just going to stick to the basics, and let me give you a follow-up activity for this. Okay. So let's see, what is your follow-up activity? And this is primarily a 5th and 6th grade presentation, but 3rd and 4th graders, you guys know me. I'm all about you do whatever you need to do. And I know 5th and 6th graders, this is going to be kind of easy, but at the same time, we should always try to review what we're doing. So number one, write out the definitions of congruence and similarity, and learn the symbols. I didn't talk a lot about them, but there they are. Similar and congruent. And I was actually talking to Mr. Collin about this. You typically don't use the term equal when it comes to geometric sides and lengths and stuff. You don't use the term equal, you use the term equivalent. And so that's why we're not using the equal sign here. Okay, so write out the definitions of congruence and similarity with the symbols. Let's see here. Create 10 plus similar shapes. Can be of any shape. And then third, create 3 or more. No, I think we're going to stick with similarity. Let's stick with similarity here. Congruence would just be like making the same thing over and over again. So create 10 plus similar shapes. And so write out the definitions of congruence and similarity and learn the symbols, and create 10 plus similar shapes. Okay, we'd love to see those pictures. We'd love to see those posted to the Google Classroom. So we really want to know what it means to be similar and congruent. Remember, here's the symbol for similar, and here is the symbol for congruent. This was a very simple presentation. I deeply apologize for not having a whole bunch of nice geometric cabinet materials, but I am making do with what I have right now at home. Just to review one more time, similar shapes have the same shape but not necessarily the same size, so these 3 different triangles. Okay, these triangles here are similar to each other, right? And then congruent, same size, same shape. If I take these 2 over here, these 2 are congruent. So there you have it, kids, similar and congruent. I will show you the follow-up one more time. Write out the definitions of congruence and similarity and learn the symbols. And create 10 plus similar shapes. I might add that you might want to break that down into, no, I'll leave it at that. I would probably say choose a Pythagorean triple. I should probably add that. Like I did, I chose a 3, 4, 5. You could choose a, I think it's a 5, 12, 13 or 7, 12, 13, but I chose the easy one, 3, 4, 5. So choose a Pythagorean triple for a triangle. That might be a good idea. So thank you all very much. Hope you had a great day today. Hope the snow melts soon. I would like to have springtime. Have a great day, kids.